A driving review of the VW ID3 facelift. What have they changed and how good is it now? With Thomas and Autogefühl in 4K, full screen, full length. Let's go. Front changes is majority this one here, because you cannot see this black panel that was there before. Definitely a cleaner, more grown up look now. LED lamps, optional matrix LED, and with a nice signature around here and also in the middle part, huge retro VW logo. Turning indicators in the front, replace the lower part of the daytime running light. If you have the optional matrix LED and approach the vehicle, for example in the basement garage, you can see this welcoming signature. Look at that here. The lamps look left and right, kind of greet you, and then everything comes to life. And you also have a welcome signature here at the rear with this X and then a build up. Also pretty cool, isn't it? Length at 4 meters 26 or 168 inches stays the same. However, new color, dark Olivine Green is now available. Yeah, I tried really hard today, didn't I? Wheels here, the optional 20-inch one, the biggest ones. Smaller one you would go for when you want a little bit more dampening comfort. And you can see this additional black plate that was there for the pre-facelift version. It's now gone and also gives you a cleaner side profile, and also this, playing around sticker that was here with the honeycomb structure, that is also gone. So obviously now a grown-up, cleaner look. Always got my cold with me. No, I'm gonna tell you all about this one very soon. First of all, acceleration figures, 7.9 seconds for the bigger battery version, the Pro S, and 7.3 seconds for the Pro, smaller battery, less weight. Here in the rear, since the facelift, this inner light element is also illuminated. Before it was just basically a decoy element, so that's an upgrade definitely. And what's very interesting about this one, you can fold the number plate, and no, it's not a problem when you fold it, because the bike carrier that you can install in here also has a number plate. Here you can put it just in like this, and you can also put out this key at the side, and then it's actually locked like this. Then you can put a bicycle carrier on that one. It's not meant for a real towing possibility. Battery sizes, 58 kilowatt hours net for the small battery, 77 kilowatt hours net for the big battery. And recharging takes around half an hour, from 10 to 80% state of charge. DC charging peaks 120 for the small battery, 170 for the big battery. And now a concise charging test for you. Yeah, I did change clothes for that. So we started at about 10%, 11% state of charge. And then it directly starts with 120 kilowatt. Here with the small battery, the 58 kilowatt hour battery. So pretty quick start, and also very good temperatures for the battery. We also drove the car before. You always need to have the battery at a good temperature that the quick charging directly works. And like around 50, a little bit over 50% state of charge, the charging curve drops. So then we're just at half of the maximum power. And now we reached 80%. So in a little bit less than 34 minutes for today's EV, I think it should be quicker. Khaki, still this trend here, high gloss black everywhere. Also here at the B pillar, this collects a lot of scratches. Just these here are matte, but they also don't look that good. However, what's cool is the door closing sound. That is great quality. Also the panel gaps here, and how stable the door feels when you open it. This is here now, soft touch, also structure, so better, increased build quality here now. Then you have microfiber in this trim, but then again high gloss black here. Yeah, they haven't changed that yet, at least. Then you can see the steering wheel with hashtag capacitive BS. They look cool, they're also illuminated, but hard to control while driving. A very small digital instrument cluster behind the steering wheel, but at least we still have one. A lot of new cars come without one now. This is the sport seat with integrated head restraint, also with microfiber. There are also other seats available. There's one comfort seat available, and the base seat, they have the same base ergonomics. And the comfort seat also has microfiber, the base seat fabric. They're all very comfortable indeed. Here the sport seat, they give you a little bit more side support, and with 189 or 62, it also leaves enough headroom. So although it's not a huge car, it has a lot of space here and great seating comfort indeed. Steering wheel with this facelift here is now also animal-free material, and they use a lot of recycling also in the whole interior. Interior cockpit overview. if that's relevant for you, there will be already a next refresh coming up in mid-2024. And then this switch key here will be moved here for the store common like in the ID7. And also here the temperature sliders, at the moment they're not backlit, then they will be backlit, but not for now. They couldn't make that ready for the facelift yet. Okay. The infotainment system actually changes the scheme also according to the driving modes. Here, for example, everything red in the sports mode. Software has been updated, yes. However, still not a huge fan of it. Sometimes it's just not fast enough. It should be a little bit quicker, definitely. Apple CarPlay and Auto integration, wireless or wired, you can choose that. And I would rather count on the next update then. So at this moment here, I think still a little bit too complicated everything, but maybe they will improve it over time. The quality of the rear view camera should also be better. Should be higher resolution. By the way, if you forget how your car is called, there you have the badge to remember. Front cup holders, adaptive, next to smartphone holders, either then just put it in wireless, there's also a wireless charger, or then you have the wired chargers to USB-C. What's actually pretty cool also for traveling feeling, here these armrests, and they can be put in different levels, how you desire, and if you open them all up, you can also see you have a lot of space underneath. You can also close this whole stuff. Rear seats also with nice microfiber, and you can see it, you have a middle seat here. This is a small battery version, so you have the middle seat, so 5-seater in the rear. You have a panoramic roof, at least you can get one. And you can also get this bicycle carrier, so 3 reasons for the small battery version. However, meanwhile, they're also working on the bigger battery version that you can maybe also fit one of the features in that one. Has to do with maximum weight reasons. Then here, the rear seat, as for the leg room, still fits with 5 tall adults, well, at least 4 tall adults, because, and here is also okay with the headroom. Exactly in the middle part, it is an EV platform, no middle tunnel, but then it gets a little bit close with the headroom. It works, yes, maybe for shorter ways, but overall good usage of space. The panoramic roof is fixed, however you can close this shade here when it's really, really sunny outside. Are you a fan of a Frunk? Are these Frunk fans? Well, here at least there is none, so they fitted some parts here underneath and didn't have any space left. That's what they say. Well, in this case, it is indeed a very short hood. Trunk area, we flip this retro logo, 385 liters up to 1,275 liters. See the normal area. Width, a little bit less than a meter or 40 inches. And the length here is about a little bit less than 80 centimeters or 31 inches. We can fold here 2/3, 1/3 split, and underneath here you have space for charging cables, or in the second step then even space for this bicycle carrier towing hook thing device. Oh, hey, welcome to Thomas's driving lounge with the VW ID3 facelift. Yeah, these seats are very comfortable. So you almost feel like you can take a nap in them at the same time. The sports seats, and they hold you tighter. Really good support here. And that leads us to sporty driving. Go to the sports mode here. We have the Pro version. So the one that is quicker with the smaller battery, less weight. And let's see acceleration from... let's let these cars pass. We go from 40 kilometers an hour and let's go. 100, 130, 160, there we are. Top speed, so a little bit more, 166 as top speed. Execute order 66. Yeah, so I think the acceleration here, is a little bit quicker than in the Pro S version. Top speed, of course, could be a little bit higher. Relatively silent here at higher speeds, not too many wind noises. Lane change is also good. We have the DCC here, the dynamic chassis control, is the adaptive suspension, and it gives me good control over the vehicle. Also the steering input here is a little bit stiffer than Now we're on the brakes, and what I do criticize is the brake feel. So in this very low area, you feel like you're not braking at all, and then suddenly you are approaching a vehicle and, oh, I have to brake more. So you really have to get used to that. Let's hear the philosophy in the D mode. In the B mode, there you lift the throttle and you have strong recuperation, more towards a one pedal driving feeling, but not 100% there. Usually with EVs, meanwhile, I prefer the D mode, that it rolls a little bit further. It's also better for the passengers then, because less G-force are applied, and then you finally dose it with the brake. Of course, there's this brake blending happening. So first there's the recuperation, gaining back energy or regenerative braking. And then if more braking power is needed, then the real brakes are being applied. But here I think the sensitivity of the pedal, it should be a little bit more sensitive in the very early area. Here at darkness you can see some ambient lighting here in the right area. Echo also changes the color a little bit here, and you can see the illumination here also on the steering wheel of these hashtag capacitive buttons. That's the only advantage, that they're illuminated actually. The sliders, as I said, not illuminated yet, but they will be if you buy this car by around mid-2024. Then you also get illuminated sliders right here. In the comfort mode or the eco mode, the suspension then is a little bit softer if you went for this optional DCC. Still, left and right, it's really it's really nice. Yeah, it's really nice. So you get a good feeling for the vehicle, compact vehicle, very good dimensions. You have perfect control over the vehicle. What I like is going for an individual mode and there, for example, put the suspension to comfort, but the steering with a little bit more resistance and the steering to sport. And that's to me the perfect driving feeling for this vehicle. But still, if you have this vehicle in the, that's what I mean here. So I need more braking power in the first few centimeters than I actually need. That guy just put like a chewing gum out of the window or something. Disgusting. Yeah, so I think more brake feel in the early area would be needed. Here with the driving modes, all modes are absolutely fine, but you can just pick it. I think this is also one of the strengths of this vehicle, this handling, this balance, and also when you go for the adaptive suspension. Here also just 90-degree corner, not too far with the steering wheel. It's just so smooth in the driving. And yes, we know software problem-wise, yeah, they're still not there. So they have to do better there, and it's coming bit by bit, definitely. But still, it should be better, and long time ago. But the hardware of the vehicle, there you feel that they have this long-term experience with their really solid vehicles. So all the hardware concerned, chassis, suspension, driving feeling, handling, steering input, that is really well done. All right, and some more sporty driving. Good thing about these huge wheels are that you have more contact to the road. But then again, disadvantage is when you have some bumps, then you rather feel it here with the 20-inch wheels. So for sporty driving, it's really cool, and if the roads are even like this. But when you more have bad roads and stuff, then that happens. Then you also should watch out that you don't get the biggest wheels. Of course, the smaller wheels will always give you more comfort. It's still fine, especially here with the DCC, but you just have to pick what's more important to you, the sporty ride or the more comfortable ride, and then you can also choose the wheel size for you. In these narrow corners, very good behavior, look at that. Not too much work on the steering wheel. Center of gravity is really low due to that battery pack. It feels so sporty. Of course, it's a heavy vehicle like all electric vehicles, but you don't feel that because of the compact dimensions and the low center of gravity. So it's so much fun to drive. It's really very cool, and it doesn't actually feel too small in the sense of that it's not a grown-up vehicle, you know what I mean? But it's definitely small in the sense of that it feels sporty. So here one more time. A little bit tighter. Also accelerating out, you know this is rear-wheel drive. I love it. I just like rear-wheel drive cars. So when you accelerate out of the corners, it just gets you around the corner a little bit better. And also you can turn in the front wheels very, very much, and that ensures also a great turning circle. So this has a very narrow turning circle indeed. When you, for example, easing the car in and out, the parking lot and so on, or you do a U-turn, maybe you should drive a little bit more to the right. That really helps a lot. I can actually show you that. So you have a little bit more space, and when I just ease the car around here, just basically in a circle, with that here, and this would actually end, but then I can turn the steering wheel in a little bit more, and that's really astonishing. I mean, it's like almost turning on standstill. Look at that. Look at that. I don't even have to back up or something. Wow, that's amazing. You know, that is the advantage of rear-wheel drive only. And here, this electric platform, the front wheels, they can really turn in very wide. Pretty cool. Yeah, it's so much funnier also up the winding corners. What do you think? Our test consumption for today, 16 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometer. That is a little bit less than 4 miles per kilowatt hour. A real-world range then of around 360 kilometers or 220 miles for the small battery. And for a big battery, it would be 480 kilometers or 300 miles. Pretty good figures here indeed. It is summertime, mild temperatures. The car can easily cope with that. But for wintertime, there is also an optional heat pump. You should go for that if you live in a cold climate. Still, the range will be worse. But with these aerodynamic changes, obviously, they could also increase the range with this facelift here a little bit. Now it's time to check out some more compact EVs.